Hey there, Max Mortillaro from TECHunplugged here reporting from KubeCon 2024 Paris. I'm here with my good friend Michael Cade from Veeam and Castle. So Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you, Max. How's it going?
It's going good, thank you very much. So, we're here, you work for Veeam obviously, but when it comes to cloud native, it's all about Kasten. And Kasten is pretty much kind of setting the standard about cloud native, data protection, but there's probably more than that. So can you tell us what's hot this year?
Yeah, I think, so from our perspective, if you're running PVCs in your Kubernetes cluster, there's probably some important data in there, but equally there's still that story about stateless versus stateful workloads, and that might mean that your stateless workload lives in the cluster, in the Kubernetes cluster, but you're leveraging a PaaS-based service such as RDS. And we've got to think about how we protect that whole application, and we've got that ability with K10. And I guess, I've been at Veeam for 9 years now, working on storage virtualization, and it's the same story that we were saying 9 years ago, right? Is that, well, you need to protect it, and that becomes a bit of an insurance policy. And insurance is pretty boring, so it's down here on the list. But ultimately, what we also talk about here is a lot about mobility of data. Kubernetes is the same operating system wherever it is, and it gives us the ability to use K10 or use Veeam Kasten to be able to not only take an application consistent backup, but also move that to another location. So you may start your Kubernetes journey on-prem, maybe on virtualization, using just some Ubuntu VMs, but then you might grow out of that. You might want to offload some of that to the public cloud, take advantage of some of that. So we're seeing a lot of customers have that requirement. How do I lift and shift this massive database from on-prem to AKS? And we provide that capability, that mobility of that data into that cloud platform. So there's three things really to focus on that we talk about here. One is, the first one is that mobility story about how do we help you move wherever it needs to go. The second is around the security of that data. How do we store that data in an immutable location, whether it be object storage or somewhere else? But then equally around integrated into projects like Kyverno from Numata or OPA, Open Policy Agent, to make sure that they're putting guardrails in place that as soon as a PVC appears, they go, hang on a minute, you don't have a backup policy, you should have one. And it automates that within the K10 platform as well. And the final one is around backup and recovery, right? How do we recover that data when bad things happen? Whether it's as malicious as a cyber attack or whether it's a ransomware attack, but equally we all make mistakes. It doesn't matter if you're in Kubernetes, virtualization, physical, cloud, SaaS, we all make mistakes, we delete things. You still need a backup, right? So that's really where we're talking about here.
So Michael, it's clear that you're a seasoned speaker because you managed to cover everything and structure it perfectly. So you answered to every of my questions, before I was able to ask them. That's perfect. So just to close on that, what's your feeling about this edition of KubeCon? What's the overall vibe here? What's your feeling? And where do you see this going next?
Yeah, awesome question. So I've been coming to KubeCon for 3-4 years now, both here and the North American edition. I think one thing I'm starting to see, so you see that we're repping the Veeam logo, which is an evolution of what we've been in the past. It's always been Kasten. So the brand recognition, because there's people here that are familiar with Veeam from a virtualization, and what I mean by that is that this isn't developer focused. There's actually platform engineers, SREs that have come from that virtualization admin space that Veeam are known. And they're now here because they've inherited, they've been asked, they've been made to look after Kubernetes as another platform. So they're familiar with that, our overall platform and our story. I think the other interesting part is it's not just about container orchestration when it comes to Kubernetes, seeing other workloads being managed by Kubernetes. So if you take a look at the KubeVirt project, running virtual machines on Kubernetes, we all come from a virtualization background. It's crazy to think that some of that features and functionality that VMware bring is live vMotion or live migration gives us the ability to move that workload between those hosts. Exactly what we saw in the VMware space, right? And seeing people asking about that. We have customers actively running production VMs on Kubernetes or on OpenShift virtualization. So I think that's interesting. The other interesting part is that data outside of the cluster. Things like Amazon RDS, being able to protect the whole application in a consistent way. So yeah, I'm excited to see more platform engineering, more infrastructure ops go from that traditional data center into more DevOps focused, SRE focused type conversations here.
Well, thank you very much. It's really interesting, great perspectives. We were talking about KubeVirt as well a bit before, and I think it's really an exciting time again. So thank you very much, Michael. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Max. Thank you.